Hello and welcome to Real Talkin' Fiction, the podcast where storytelling meets raw, unfiltered conversations. I'm Eddie Bowers, or Edward Bowers, as some of you guys might know me from my books. I'm here to explore the stories we tell, both real and imagined. From deep dives into some of life's tougher questions to thrilling fiction that I write. So hopefully that's going to keep you guys on edge. We're going to try and cover it all here. So sit back, hit that follow button, and let's dive in. Some nightmares stay with you long after you wake up. Some places, some memories never really let you go. And sometimes the past waits for us to return. Welcome back to Real Talkin' Fiction, everyone, where we explore the shadows, both real and imagined. And today, I want to give you guys something a little different, something I haven't done on any other podcasts, and I really don't do it on social media either, not that much, but I'm going to read you a story. No, not a full-on book, okay? I'm going to read you a prologue from one of my books. And if you've ever felt haunted by something, whether it's your past, a place, or even a voice in your own head, I hope, and I think you'll feel this one. So if you're not already doing so, have a seat, sit back, get comfortable. Heck, turn the lights low if you need to, or want to, and give this a little listen, okay? Now, this is the prologue from my forthcoming book. I'm looking at probably mid-2025 releasing this, but it's called The Forest Devours. The trees loomed like sentinels, their gnarled branches intertwined, forming a canopy that blocked even the faintest starlight. In the pitch of night, the forest seemed alive, its shadows stretching and swaying, the wind carrying whispers that didn't belong to it. The air was thick with damp earth and decay, a smell that clung to the skin and made every breath heavy. A boy, no older than 10, darted through the underbrush, his heart pounding in rhythm with his bare feet striking the ground. His name was Caleb Voss, and he wasn't supposed to be here. The forest had always been forbidden, his mother's voice echoing in his mind. Never go past the tree line after dark, Caleb. Promise me. But the promise had been forgotten tonight. He hadn't meant to run this far. It started as an innocent chase after a runaway soccer ball. And then the wind had whispered his name, soft and beckoning. The voice had felt familiar, like a friend he'd never met, pulling him deeper into the woods. Caleb, it whispered again now, lilting and sweet, brushing past his ear like the breath of a ghost. He froze, his breath fogging in the frigid air. The voice sounded close, closer than it should. Who's there? Caleb called, trying to keep the quiver out of his voice. He turned in a slow circle, his wide eyes searching the thick darkness. The trees seemed alive, their branches shifting as though reaching for him. A figure emerged from the shadows ahead. It was faint, almost indistinct, like a mirage shimmering in the gloom. Caleb squinted, his young heart racing with a mix of curiosity and fear. The figure tilted its head, the gesture strangely familiar, almost playful. "Are you lost?" it asked, its voice soft and melodic, yet laced with something ancient and cold. "No," Caleb lied, his feet edging backward. I just need to get my ball." The figure didn't move closer, but its presence pressed on him. Heavy and suffocating, the air around Caleb grew colder, and he felt his lungs strain against the weight of it. "Stay," the figure said, not as a command, but as a plea. "Stay with us." He shook his head violently. "I need to go home." The figure's shape began to distort, the edges of its form flickering like a flame about to go out. "They'll forget you," it whispered, the words seeping into Caleb's mind like poison. "But we won't. Stay, Caleb. You belong here." "No!" Caleb turned and ran, his small legs pumping furiously. The whispers grew louder, following him like the rustling of dry leaves. 1,000 voices overlapping, promising, pleading, demanding. The forest seemed to fight him, the roots grabbing at his feet, the branches clawing at his face. The world tilted and spun as he stumbled forward, his breath coming in raging gasps. The tree line came into view, faint but promising salvation. With one final burst of strength, he lunged toward it, crashing through the undergrowth and spilling onto the dew-soaked grass beyond. The whisper stopped abruptly. The forest stood silent behind him, its shadows retreating into themselves. Caleb lay there, trembling, the cold night air biting at his skin. Slowly he pushed himself up, turning to face the dark expanse of trees. They stood still, their presence as menacing as ever. And then he saw it, two pale, glowing eyes staring at him from the shadows. They blinked once, and twice, and then they disappeared. That night, Caleb didn't tell his parents what had happened. He convinced himself it was a dream, a fragment of his overactive imagination. But the whispers stayed with him, echoing in the recesses of his mind, a quiet promise that the forest had not forgotten him. Years later, when he found himself drawn back to this small Virginia town, to a house nestled against the very edge of the forest, Caleb would remember that night. He would remember the whispers and the glowing eyes, and deep down, he would know he had never truly escaped. The forest had been waiting for him all along. Well, tell me what you guys think of that. Not my reading. Okay, again, very nervous. I don't know why nervous. I'm sitting here speaking into a microphone. Also getting over a cold. Plus, lots of excuses. Let's just say I was nervous. So, but yeah. The past has a way of calling us back. Whether it's trauma, regrets, or something we left unfinished. Sometimes it whispers, and sometimes it screams. Now, this prologue isn't just about supernatural horror. I'm not sitting here trying to prep you guys, getting y'all ready to go buy my books. I mean, if you want to, you can. I don't mind. If you want to, you can. But it's about being pulled back into something you thought you had left behind. And that's real. Have you ever had a place, a memory, or a feeling that never really let you go? How many of us try to escape the things that hurt us, only to find them waiting around the corner years later? The forest in this story is kind of a metaphor. Maybe for trauma, maybe for fear, maybe for the things we can't run from. I know a lot of you listening have dealt with struggles. Whether it's mental health, past pain, or heck, even battles in the family court. Sometimes it feels like no matter how far we run, the fight is still there. But here's the thing. Acknowledging it gives you power. Caleb in this story ran, but eventually he had to face what was waiting for him. And that's what this podcast is really about. Facing the hard things, telling the truth, and not suffering in silence. So what's been waiting for you? What's the thing you keep running from? Maybe it's time to face it. If this story resonated with you, let me know. Share your thoughts, your own experiences. And if you want more, make sure to keep following the podcast, because I'll be sharing more stories, more raw truths, and more conversations that need to be had. Also, little plug here, you can support this work and keep this going on my Patreon. All right, where you'll get early access to some stories, behind the scenes looks, and exclusive content other than you're going to see on my TikTok, my Facebook, my Instagram, and things like that. So just head on over to www.patreon.com to join my community. All you got to do in there once you're there is you want to search Bowers Inc. B as in boy, OWERS space INK. All right. I've got, I think, a free one. If you want to financially support, I've got things as low as $1 a month. But I'm not here to sell you on stuff. I just want to hear your thoughts on my prologue. So, and please don't judge my my reading. Again, very nervous. Stepping outside of that comfort zone there. But thank you guys so much for listening. And remember, some things never let go. That kind of wraps up this episode of Real Talk and Fiction. If you enjoyed today's discussion, make sure to follow the podcast, please, so you never miss an episode. And if something resonated with you, share it. Share it with a friend. You know, it helps me more than you guys know. If you'd like to support the show and my writing, you can always join me on Patreon. For honest, I'm thinking, I believe as little as $1 a month. Your support's going to help me keep creating, and in return, you guys are going to receive exclusive updates, behind the scenes content, as well as early access to some new projects. So, check it out. Just head on over to Patreon, search Edward. Search Bowers Inc. B as in boy, OWERS INK. And you should be able to find me there. Also, I think somewhere on this podcast, possibly on the YouTube channel, I've got the links shared there. And if you love a good thriller, don't forget to check out my books. They're available on Amazon. All right, just search Edward Bowers in the search bar, and it should pull up everything I've written and published. You can also find all the details at my website, which is edwardbowersofficial.com. It's kind of a basic website, but I'm working on it. Okay, bear with me. But thanks for tuning in, y'all. Just stay real. Keep turning the pages of your own story. I'll see you guys next time, all right?